In this video, we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the brand new core box starter box for Middle-earth strategy battle games, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Hey guys, Rich from Rich Big Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to this, a brand new video and a brand new core box that I've been really excited to get my hands on. It is, of course, the brand new War of the Rohirrim core box from Games Workshop for the MESBG system. But not only is it a new core box, it comes with whatever version of the game you want to call it, but essentially a brand new updated rule set. From what I've read, it makes some things a lot less complicated. It streamlines a lot of things. It looks like they've taken some of the somewhat broken things out of the game as well. I've been really fortunate to get hold of a copy. So I thought I would open it up for you guys, take a look, see what was inside there, see how the miniatures compare to some of the older miniatures, because everything in this box is brand new miniatures. I think with the exception of the Rohan houses, but we'll let them off with that one. But yeah, really excited to open this up, get into it. So let's jump over to the camera and take a look at what we've got in this box. Okay guys, so here we go, the brand new shiny lovely artwork on the front, Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, MESBG or Middle-earth strategy battle game. And if we turn it around on the back, it's a fairly heavy box, but if we turn it around on the back, you can see a little overview there of everything that we are going to get. So a whole bunch of miniatures, so 56 in total. We get the new rule book. It looks like we get some dice, some terrain, and some other bits and bats. But we don't need to look at the back and see what's in there, because we are going to open this up and take a look at everything that is in here. So it is sticking a little bit. Let's just pop this to one side. Cool. We get a little range rulery type thing. Probably never use that, but it's good that it's in there. You know, it's good that it's in there. Obviously, all of our bases. I think everything's going to be, for the most part, on a standard 25mm in this version of the game. And then we've got all of our lovely grey plastic just waiting to be painted up. So it looks like here we've got the wild men, or the Dunlendings. Couple of sprues of those. It looks like there's going to be lots of options for these guys. I can see lots of different weapon types. Yeah, lots of different weapon types, different bow types there as well. Not different bow types, but different bow poses. It doesn't look like they're going to be multi-pose in terms of being able to build them up in, you know, have the legs in different directions and things like that. But it does look like we're going to have enough. I'm just trying to see where the arms... Okay, actually, no, they could be... Yeah, they could be pretty good for making multi-pose models, because most of the arms, it looks like, are flat surfaces. So you can position them how you want. But the legs and things are going to be... It looks like they're going to be pretty much static. And I think these are going to be two sprues of exactly the same. So yes they are. We've then got our hero, well, our good, that's the evil side. We've then got our good, which are going to be the men of the Rohirrim. Again, looks like a couple of options here. So I can see we've got options for spears, we've got options for swords, that lovely Rohan looking sword that we've got there. We've also got axe on here as well. Then again, some bows and things like that. Different shield types. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like we're just going to get the number of shields that we need. But you know, nice that they're all different designs. Again, it looks like there may be some amount of posability with the models, and I do like that, because you know, I do like the ability to do a little bit of kit bashing, you know, take things from other models, put them on just to differentiate, so you don't just have, you know, a big army and then it's just the same 4 models repeated. So I do like the fact that we're going to have some variation in there. Let's put these to one side for the moment. And then it looks like these are going to be our hero sprues. So let me get the names of these right, because I did forget them earlier. Yeah, here we go. So I think here is going to be Haleth and Hammer. These are, or Hammer. These are going to be the princes of Rohan, and I think are going to be the leaders in one of the army lists for Rohan, for this version of Rohan. There's obviously the older version of Rohan from the original movies and things like that. This is going to be a new version of Rohan that confusingly is an older version of Rohan, thousands of years before the Lord of the Rings. Or maybe hundreds, I'm not entirely sure of the timeline. Each of these are going to have a mounted option and an option on foot. Obviously with MESBG you can be knocked off your horse, so you need a model to represent that as well. But these look really nice. And then we've got the forces of evil. So we've got General Targ and Wolf, the High Lord of the Hill Tribes. These are more my jam, I think. I think of this box, this is the route that I'm going to be going down. Once again, we've got options for mounted, and we've got options for model on foot, again to represent that that ability to knock somebody off a horse, or de-horse. Is that a word? I don't know if de-horse is a word. But nice that you get both models in there. No, there's no cavalry options for the Rohan in this box. I've had a quick look through some of the army lists, and it doesn't look like these versions of Rohan are going to have options for mounted models. It looks like they are going to be on foot. We've got the Rohan houses. I don't know how many we've got here, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sprues of Rohan house, which is nice. Whether this makes 2 models, I'm just trying to have a quick look. So I think you could, 1, 2, so a front, back. I think you could make 4 very basic, but the reality is that you probably want to do a little bit of bashing on here. Saw a great video from Zorp where he had mountains and mountains of these and was making some really weird and wonderful formations of them. So I do have a core box for Quinn. Maybe I see if he wants to donate his Rohan house sprues to me, just so I can build up a few more. Cool, we get this nice little War of the Rohirrim. Is there anything on the other side? Oh yes, there is. Look, a lovely artwork from the not the camera there, from the core box front there. I do like that artwork. It is very, very nice indeed. We've then got a couple of different things here. This is going to be our playmat. So it does come with a playmat. Let's open this up. I'm not expecting this playmat to be great. It is like that weird thick plastic-y type card stuff. Maybe not even card, more like paper. It does look like it is double-sided, so you can see there you've got side B. Yeah, I can't see myself using this. It's a nice little extra, just so that you've got something you can play on, but really not for me. Those types of play mats. What else have we got in here then? So there's the rule book. So what's this one in here is going to be the rules pack. So we've got a rules book and we've got a rules pack in these very sort of demure looking black envelopes with no markings on them or anything like that. It's a little strange. Let's zoom in a little bit. I think the only other thing in this box, always have a little shake. Always have a little shake. See if there's anything underneath. There is something underneath. I think I know what this is going to be. Yes, there we go. Look, some dice. Nowhere near enough for what you will probably need to play a full game once you've got a full army, but definitely enough to get you started. So we're going to move this box out of the way for the moment. Just pop that there. Apologies if you heard the bang. Let's start then. Let's put the rule book to one side for the moment. And then let's take a look at what we've got here. Okay, so we do have, let's just zoom in a little bit here. We do have this quick reference guide, which I do always like. I found this really useful when I started playing the old world. Just something you can take with you, especially, you know, in your first few games. You're not having to look through the whole rule book just to work out some of the basic stuff. And this is just going to take you through all of the different phases, so the turn sequence, and then referencing then back to the main rules book. So you've got the move phase, that's going to be on page 24, so on and so forth. And then I imagine on the back, yeah, there we go. We've got a little cheat chart here. Throne Rider, that's the one that I was thinking of, not Dehorsed. So we've got the Throne Rider table there. You've got a quick guide to the missile weapon chart, so you can see each of the weapons, or the ranged weapons, what range they are, and then the strength of them. The great bow winning out there at 4. I think most standard bows are going to be 2. Also a crossbow is 4 as well. But ranging between 1 from a sling all the way up to strength 4. And then we've got our strength and defense. So this is going to be our to wound chart. So you can see if it's matching, it's going to be 4s along the board. If it's 1 less, it's going to be 4s. 1 more, it's going to be 5, so on and so forth. The higher the strength, the lower the defense, the easier it is to be able to wound that character. But I do like that we get that little quick reference guide. We've then got this here, which is going to be the Battle of Edoras scenarios and profiles. Okay, so I have bought an extra book with this, but we'll see what is in here first of all. So it's just detailing the heroes of Rohan and then the heroes of the hill tribes. A little welcome, gives you a little introduction as to what we've got. Okay, and it's going to take you straight into some scenarios. So it's just letting you know everything that you've got here. So your defenders of Edoras. So you get Haleth, Prince of Rohan, Hammer, Prince of Rohan, and 24 warriors of Rohan. And it does say here, for the purposes of the scenarios presented in this booklet, we recommend building Haleth with either a sword or axe. So there's going to be some options for him. Now, what I would say is read the actual army list first, see what the character can take and work out what you want to take, not just what it's telling you to take here, because if you glue them together, you know, unless you start pulling them apart again, which you don't want to do, especially once you've got them painted up, then yeah, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Similar with the armies of the hill tribes, it's saying here to do 2 hand weapons with light shield, 8 bows, 4 2-handed weapons, so on and so forth. I would just take a look at the full army list first of all. Just make sure that's how you want to build them. The scenarios in this book, I've got a feeling, are going to be starter scenarios anyway. So whilst you're playing, you know, games at a local gaming store or events and things like that, they will use WYSIWYG, which is what you see is what you get. So if it's not on the model, you can't have it. These are starter games, so it really, really doesn't matter as long as you know with your opponent what each model is supposed to have. It does come that so the playmat is 3x3, which is interesting. Is this going to be a 3x3 game? We'll have to have a look through the full rules manual to see what it is, or do we get a varying table size or board size depending on the number of points that we are taking. So scenario 1 then is going to be the first assault. Designer's notes, the Battle of Edoras is a huge battle, and this scenario represents just a snippet of the much larger conflict going on around the city. As this is your first game, it will focus on the basics of the game, So there will be no heroes, cavalry, or missile weapons. So yeah, I mean, if we look at what we're taking, 2 tribesmen with hand weapon, 2 tribesmen with hand weapon and light shield, and then 4 hill tribesmen with spears, 4 hill tribesmen with two-handed. So we got a total there of 12 tribesmen with varying weapons. Note, no missile weapons in there. And then the forces of good, 12 warriors of Rohan with shield or throwing spear and shield. So maybe they do get throwing weapons in there as well. So this is going to be the place you want to start, especially if it's your first ever game. It's just going to give you an idea of how the game plays out. Then I'd imagine, yeah, here we go. So we're going to get a little bit more complicated. In this version, the gates fall. We've introduced Hammer for the side of good and General Targ for the side of evil. Torch the city, again, we're going up in complexity. You can see here we've got some additional special rules: set alight the city, put the fires out, and it also gives you an idea of the tactics as well. So what you want to try and do. And then we've also got scenario 4, the last stand of the princes. I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler for the movie. I haven't been able to see it yet, but again, it looks like they're adding in even more models, even more complexity. Now, if you've played MESBG before, or if you've played any other sort of tabletop gaming before, you may be able to just jump straight into this and play it here. But I do like that they've built up these scenarios with a level of complexity at each one. And I can imagine this first one is probably going to take no more than 45 to 60 minutes to play through. Once you've done that first one, you understand the basics, and then these ones are going to be easier and easier. So probably, a good afternoon once you've got everything built up. Maybe before you've even painted them, you'll be able to sit down and have a look through these with a friend. And then what else have we? Okay, so no more actual scenarios there. So 4 start scenarios, that's really nice. And then you can see here we've got the profiles. Now I do notice one glaring missing thing from these profiles, and we'll get onto it in a moment. But you've got the profiles, so there's only going to be 3 profiles for the good. You've got Haleth, you've got Hammer, and then you've got Rohan. Sorry, the warriors of Rohan, because even if they've got a shield or whatever else they've got, or a bow or whatever it may be, their stats are not going to change. It's just what they get to do with them. So it's still the same profile of character. And then again, we've got Wolf, the High Lord of the Hill Tribes, General Targ, and then the Hill Tribesmen, who do have a really nice a model with a flaming brand, has the Terror Cavalry and Terror Beast special rules. That's pretty good. You can see these guys have all got a hatred of Rohan as well, which I do like. And then it looks like we're going to get on to the building guides. A couple of options here as well, so you can see with Haleth, wherever you've got some different colours, they're going to be the 3 options that you've got for his head, for example, and a couple of options for weaponry. Similar with Hammer as well, who's, I believe, more of the shooty one. And then we've got the Warriors of Rohan. So it looks like the Warriors of Rohan are not going to have many options. Oh no, okay, so on to the next. They're doing them as different pages rather than anything else. So maybe a little bit of posability there as well. But some of them are going to be fairly stuck. Like it looks like this guy is going to need to have a sword, for example. And we've got the bow options there as well. Then we're on to Wolf. Doesn't look like there's any options for him. Similarly with General Targ. And then, yeah, here we go. So the Hill Tribesmen, lots and lots of options for these guys. Different weapon options. Yeah, again, what they're holding. Are they going to be taking a shield? So I would have a look, because it's so important that the model you have on the table, because when you get to play bigger games, there's going to be lots of them. And to just remember, oh, this guy has this, you really need to make sure that they've got on their model what it is they're going to be using in the game. So rather than jumping in with 2 feet and just building everything like it says in here, I would just have a look at what you want to take, and then build accordingly. Basically, you're probably going to end up buying some more of these tribesmen anyway. Yeah, here we go. Here's the Rohan house. Again, you've got a few options on there, which ports you want. Yeah, again, I might see if I can get Quinn to gift me his ones. Now, before I move on to the rules manual, I do want to talk about this sort of little supplement here, and something else that is needed to go alongside it. So Games Workshop, being Games Workshop, can actually give you a core box that has everything that you need in there. Whilst this is going to give you all the profiles of the characters in the box, what it's not going to do, or what it doesn't do, is give you the points value and the options and other things like that. So if I pull up this here, which is the MESBG Armies of Lord of the Rings. By the way, there's also an Armies of the Hobbit. So there are two different books that you need. Or that you don't need. You need one of them, depending on where your army is from. But the new ones are from the Lord of the Rings. So if it is going to be the War of Rohirrim that you are buying, and you're going to be playing either the Rohan or the Hill Tribesmen, this is the book that you want to make sure that you have got to go alongside it. Now, if we look here, and let's just take these as a side-by-side example. Let me get to the right page. So everything looks fairly similar. All the rules are the same on these 2 pages. To put that there like that. All these rules are the same, but there's one key thing missing, and it's this here, which is the points value. Now, it doesn't look like there's options for Wolf, so that's fine. But if we get on to, let's have a look at the tribesmen themselves. So if we have a look here, you can see on the supplement that we got in there, it doesn't tell us how many points they are, and it just says they may have one of the following, but it doesn't tell us any of the points. So in a game of MESBG, you're going to be playing to a maximum point value, and you do get into a situation where every point really does count. And you can see there, you can have a light shield and flaming brand, but it is going to cost you 2 points. So they go from being a 5-point cost unit to a 7-point cost unit because you add them together. So again, you've got the Hill Tribes captain. If we take a look at the Rohirrim traitors, these are going to be very similar to the Rohirrim that are in the box, but these are for the evil side, not the bad side. So for the good side, things like a Warhorn shield and throwing spear, that's 28 points. So you go from being a 6-point model to a 34-point model, and that's quite a big difference, which is why I say it's really important. And the biggest piece of advice I would give is, before putting these together, just make sure you know exactly what it is you want. I think with the Rohan, there's a little bit less or fewer options anyway, but do you want everyone to have a shield? Do you want everyone to have a throwing spear or whatever it may be? So just make sure you check that out. Also gives us a little sneak preview of some of the other things that are in here as well that are coming. So we've got Shank Rot and the Snow Troll, which, very, very nice indeed. Okay, but yeah, long story short, you need to buy more than just the core box. You really need this book as well. I think these are about £30. You can get a digital version which is cheaper, or go to your local gaming store. Even better, go to Leo Disc Games. You can pre-order it from them, and they'll get it over to you with a nice little discount code for you as well. Okay, so then onto the rules manual. So you've got, really, once you've done your first sort of intro games, you're probably not going to be using this. This is just a nice little keepsake. I will keep it because it is a nice little thing. But the books that you're going to be using will be the rules manual, and then obviously the armies of the Lord of the Rings or the armies of the Hobbit, depending on what you're taking. So let's have a quick look at the rules manual then. We are not in any way, shape or form going to go through this in any level of detail. But again, what I do like is when you combine the rules book with the quick reference guide, you can very easily see priority phase is going to be page 22. I can go to page 22 and I can see all about priority and what we need to do in there. Similar with moving phase and everything else. This is going to have your scenarios in here as well. So there's going to be different types of play. So you're going to have narrative play, which is going to be, less competitive and is really going to be for more those sort of beer and pretzel type things. You've got some sieges and things in there as well. But the main one that people are going to play is going to be match play. So let's have a quick look. Points value, it doesn't really say. If you're looking for a small scale, no more than 400 points. And then most games will be between 600 and 1,000. But it does say here, 1250 mark is going to be an epic game. I would love to get to a position where we could do some of those on the channel. But yeah, if I remember rightly, and keep me honest here in the comment section, I feel like 800 is usually where the match play and the events kind of go to. It gives you, a couple of hours of gameplay, so you can fit 3 or maybe 4 rounds in a single day. Takes you through here an army list. Now this is a big change. So here it talks about allies. In previous versions of the strategy battle game, players were able to ally factions together to form the alliances we see in the films. However, in this edition, this is no longer the case. An army list cannot be allied with each other. So let's see what that means then, because if we look again, there's no army lists in that book. They're all in this book here, because again, we have to buy multiple books. So we've got our Forces of Evil, first of all, but then, so this first part here is going to be all the profiles of the models, but then here are going to be the evil army lists. So basically, each one of these is going to be not a fixed list, it's going to be a fixed list of models and heroes that you can take, and then you can pick a mix and match of any of these. But if you want to play Barad-dûr, you can only take the models that are listed on this page. And there may be some special rules, right? So for example, additional rules here, a Barad-dûr army must always contain Sauron, who is the army's general. Well, that makes sense, right? So if we go back and take a look at the ones that I want to play, or the ones that I'm going to be playing, where have they gone? Here we go. So Assault on Helm's Deep, and then the Usurpers of Edoras. So you can see here, we've got a couple of models that haven't yet been released. Or I've got them on pre-order. They should be turning up on Friday or Saturday. But we've got Frecker, the Lord of the West. So he's going to be the leader there. I believe he's the one that gets power punched by Helm at the beginning of the movie. Then we've got Wolf, who we get in the core box. We've got General Targ, who we also get in the core box. But then we've also got this Lord of the Wold, who's this guy here. He gets to bring the traitorous Rohirrim with him as well. And then if your army includes Frecker, then he must be your general. And then it says there that the traitors can only be included in Lord Thorn's warband. So this is everything you can take. If I've also got, I just want to use this as an example, the Besiegers of the Hornburg, there's a lot of crossover here, as you can see. General Tag, and this is, again, part of what comes in the box, but then there's some extra characters. So you've got the Shank and Rot, the Orc Scavengers. You've also got the Crabane, that are those sort of crows, if you like. And then you've got the Snow Troll as well. So what you can't do is take these guys, Shank and Rot, and take them with the Usurpers of Edoras. So you just need to make sure, and again, be very wary about the route you want to go down, because even with this core box alone, as you can see, there's a couple of options that you've got here for the flavour of the army that you want to take. Are you going to besiege the Hornburg, or are you going to be a Usurper of Edoras? And the nice thing is, if you go down one route, you are only a couple of models away from being able to go down the other as well. And there's a lot of crossover and things like that. There we go, guys. We're going to leave this one here. I'm going to go back over to the other camera. In fact, oh no, before I do, I'm going to come back in a moment and I'm going to show you some of these models built up. Okay, guys, here we go. So mere seconds for you. Probably a good, I want to say, couple of hours for me. It's been a long time since I built, or I suppose my old world weren't that long ago, but it's been a minute since I built Warhammer miniatures, and I always forget the number of different parts. You know, an MCP model, a Shatterpoint model, might only have 5 things, 6 things on the sprue. They're much bigger in terms of scale. These guys are obviously much smaller, a lot more intricate parts on them. But I just wanted to show you the sort of quality of the miniatures that we're talking about here. You can see I've done a little bit of basing on these guys already. This is obviously General Targ on foot. Get a little bit off there. Really nice, easy to put together. Really went together really well. Quite a few mold lines, I will say that, throughout all of these, and I've only done 4 at the moment. I've done the main version, or the on-foot version, and then the mounted version as well. Across the board, quite a lot of mold lines. So something just to be wary of, and just to make sure you want to get rid of them, because they do. I can already see still one at the back there that I've missed. I personally just think they do spoil the aesthetic, even on a tabletop top standard paint job. I just think they really do spoil things, but these look like these are really nice models, and I'm really looking forward to getting them painted up. And then obviously we've got Wolf on the that may be my favourite model in the core box, Wolf mounted, but there we go. I wanted to show you the models as well, just so you could see what they look like. Do I have any old models for scale, just to show you that they haven't really changed much? I do indeed. Probably people are going mad here. This is my little box of MESBG misfit type things. So this is a very old Aragorn. So this is a very old Aragorn. This is the metal version. And if you put him alongside, I would say there's been a little bit of size creep, if you like, but nothing too crazy. Maybe he's just a big guy. No, I think if we look there, there's definitely been a little bit of size creep. That's quite an old model. Yeah, very noticeable next to Gandalf, I would say. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Let me just tilt it a little bit that way. Yeah, very noticeable next to Gandalf, who's quite a tall chap, to say the least. I'm just looking to see if I've got any of the newer models in here. Here's some from the Hobbit. These are the Woodland Realm guys. Scouts. Now these are quite small stature, but again, definitely seeing not to the point where I think you would notice it hugely on the battlefield, but definitely a little creep there in size, which I don't mind. I really don't mind them being that little bit bigger. In fact, I would say I probably prefer them being that little bit bigger. I just think it makes them that much easier to paint up and things like that. I'm just looking at a horribly painted Thranduil here. And I always like to go by the heads, and you can just see by the head size there, there's quite a difference in the size. Like I say, I don't think it's going to be noticeable on the battlefield, but there has been a little bit of size creep in the models themselves. So again, just something to be aware of if you are mixing and matching things. And now with that, I'm going to head over and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Okay guys, so final thoughts on the brand new core box, starter box for MESBG, the War of the Rohirrim, the Battle for Edoras. What are my thoughts on it? Well, first of all, let's talk about the price point. So the price point for 56 miniatures for the terrain pieces that you get in there. So the 2, maybe 3 Rohan houses, depending on how you can eke them out. The measurement tools, the dice, you get the big core rule book that you get in there. It's £140 in the UK. It's $220 in the US. It is a little on the expensive side. Yes, you get 56 miniatures, and I always like to break it down and look at, what's my price per miniature. So, 140 divided by 56. So £2.50 a miniature. That's pretty darn good. Plus, you're getting everything else on top of it. I'm assuming you can buy the new core rulebook individually. I haven't looked. I'd imagine it's going to be in the £30 to £35 region. That's generally what they are. The quality of the miniatures, at least from the ones that I've built so far, as you've seen, really, really nice. Slight little increase in size, so a little bit of size creep, which I have no problem with whatsoever. I'm turning into I'm very quickly becoming an older man. I need glasses now. Painting is harder for me now than it was 5 years ago. So the bigger the model, the slightly easier it is to get the level of detail that you want on there. And I just like the bigger models as well. It's going to be really interesting to see how some of the online exclusive kits are and how they stack up, because I have had problems with them in the past, but again, we'll see how they are and how they stack up. Should you buy this game? It's a really difficult one. Obviously, if you're already into MESBG, and you've already got your army and it hasn't been decimated by the new changes, and you're just looking to get the core box plus some of the really cool new models, then yeah, it's one that I would say is worth buying. If you're new to the game, I really think the accessibility that this box brings is really good. In terms of a introductory starter box, I think Games Workshop have done a really good job of building up 2 armies that feel fairly fair. There's a lot of mechanics that you're going to be able to learn in the characters that you've got in there. Maybe the one thing you don't get is magic, but it's not that prevalent in this version of the game from what I've seen. And I think, if you were to buy this from your local gaming store, you're probably paying £125-ish. If you've got a good local gaming store that gives good discounts, split that with a mate, you're looking at £60 each. You're going to get yourself the starter of a really good army. You can already buy the Warriors of Rohan box individually, and the Hill Tribesmen or the Tribe Hillsmen, whichever way around it is, separately as well. And I do have a pack of the Tribesmen as well, just to bulk it out a little bit. As I mentioned, I've already got the heroes on pre-order as well. So you're going to have the really almost everything you need to be able to build your army out. The only problem with sharing it is then, you do have one rule book between you and things like that. But you could just pick up an extra rule book, right? You could then spend an extra £30. So rather than it being £60, it's 75 each, and you both get a rule book or something like that. You can split the dice, you can split the terrain pieces if you want, because there is 4 separate sprues. So I think as an entry point into the game as well, I think it's really good. Who's this game for? It's for anyone who loves Lord of the Rings. I have said it before multiple times. I genuinely believe MESBG is the best game system that Games Workshop has ever made. I really, really like the rules. I played a lot of Battle Companies, which is a very small sort of narrative campaign version of this game, which I'm really hoping we get an updated rulebook for, with all of the new models and warbands and things that we've got, or battle companies that we can potentially have. And I think if you're into Lord of the Rings, if you are looking at your next miniatures game, I think it's a really good time to start, because everybody's relearning. So you're not going to be the noob that's turning up and getting ruffle stomped by somebody who's got a completely broken list. A lot of the broken things have been taken out of the game. Not all of them, but a lot of them have been taken out of the game. So I'm hoping it leaves the game in a really, really good state. I'm really looking forward to it. Me and Quinn are already eyeing up our first event that we're going to be going to. So keep an eye out for that, and hopefully we can get some content on the channel and some battle reports for you as well. But we are going to leave it there, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do all the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe. If you do want to support us on Patreon or become a YouTube member, it would mean the world. And you can do so from as little as £1 a month. But as always, you don't need to do any of that. None of our content is behind any sort of paywall or anything like that. Join the Discord. There's going to be a new MESBG channel set up for there, dedicated to everything Middle-earth. It's going to be one of the main 3 things that we are looking at on the channel. May not cover it into the same depth as we do with MCP or Shatterpoint, but you are going to see some MESBG stuff pop up there every now and then. I do not know enough about the game to go as in-depth as I do with MCP or Shatterpoint. Maybe one day, but it is very much my 3rd game at the moment. Thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little sneak peek of what's coming in the box. Hopefully you're enthused for your own boxes turning up later this week. And as always, guys, it leaves me just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.